Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about one of the best and most fun things, in my opinion, about life that I think is very easy to forget. And that is that your life is your life to create. And my life is my life to create. And, it's like, I'm gonna sound so like cringe Pinterest quote right now, but it's like your life is such a blank slate, right? It's yours to play with, to tinker with, to curate, to build. You can really do kind of whatever the fuck you want with your life, right? I think sometimes it's so easy to forget how much control that we actually have over the life that we put ourselves in. Obviously there's circumstances that we cannot control. There's a lot of things in our life. Everyone is dealt their own shit. There's certain things that you can't change or certain things that you're stuck with or that, there's always like, I'm aware it's a privilege to say like, you can do whatever the fuck you want with your life. Like, I'm aware that like, I'm not stupid enough to think that everyone can just do whatever the fuck they want in every area of their life. I mean more like we can, set the tone for what we want our life to be like. We can choose the vibe, of what we want our life to be like, and you're meant to do what you want with it. I think it's so easy to get caught up in thinking about what we feel like we should be doing or what other people want us to do or what, sometimes it's just like expectations we put on ourselves or like, I don't know, I just think we forget that like what you're actually meant to do with your life is build a life that you want. Your life is not there for you to build a life that you think you should be living. And that's what I mean by like, I think it's one of the most fun things about life and one of the most easy to forget is that like forming your own opinions and deciding what kind of tone you want your life to be and what kind of relationships you want and what you're going to allow into your life and what isn't okay with you and where you'd like to set up your life, where you'd like to live, like even things like your style. You can choose what kind of style you want to wear. You can choose what kind of music you listen to. You can choose how you decorate your home. You can choose if you're going to be kind of outdoorsy or if you want to, be more of a indoor cat is the only way that I can phrase the opposite of outdoorsy, indoorsy. You can choose if you want to be someone who gets up really early and goes running or goes to swim in the sea or like sees friends for coffee in the morning before work, or like if you're someone who would rather lay in and have a slow-paced morning and not jump out of bed, but maybe in the evenings you like, it's just an open book. Do you know what I mean? You can do what you want. You can kind of decorate your life however you want. You can build your days how you want, spend time with the people that you want. And like, I know this might sound obvious, but I do think it is very easy to forget that like that is kind of what you're meant to do. Do you know what I mean? You're meant to do what you want. You're meant to build a life that inspires you and excites you and that you want to live. You're not meant to spend your life trying to be something that you feel like you should be doing. That's not the point. Another thing that I love about this is that you can always reroute. You are never stuck in something. You are always one decision away from a different life. You have the control over whether or not you want to stay doing the shit that you're doing, wearing the clothes you're wearing, hanging out with the friends you're hanging out with, in the relationships that you're in. You can wake up and decide that that doesn't work for you and you can change that. No one can stop you from doing that. Do you know what I mean? And I find that really refreshing, that like the ability to constantly be reinventing yourself and tinkering with what you want your life to be is like literally in your hands. The power to do that is in your hands always. That's never going to leave. You get to choose what you want to do with your life now and next week and next year, and that will never change. That choice is always up to you. And I think the art of reinventing yourself should be spoken about more, because whenever I'm feeling like in a rut or kind of uninspired by my life, there's certain things that I always do that make me feel better. And one of them is this exercise with a notebook that I will get into. But like I said, I think sometimes we can get into kind of a rut when maybe what we're choosing to do with our life isn't what we want to be doing with it. It's not necessarily aligning with what we want. And it can, land you in a place of feeling quite like everything's kind of dull. And, you can slip into a habit of not remembering that you are actually in the driver's seat. I mean, this is what I mean by it's just surprisingly easy to forget that information, because I do think, there's obviously so many expectations and pressures everywhere that we kind of look. And we do kind of feel like we have to be certain ways and do certain things. And, we feel like we make a decision and we kind of have to stick with it For example, like what you wear. If you feel like I kind of would like to dress completely differently, but like this is my style and it will just come across really weird and like people comment and like sometimes we don't even think about changing shit because we're like we've made decisions and we just like stick to them as if we don't have the power to just wake up the next day and change our minds, you know? You know, what's actually stopping you from waking up tomorrow and dressing differently or leaving a relationship that you've wanted to leave for like years or like deciding I don't like these friends or I hate this job. You know, I'm aware with a job and things, you know, don't just fucking wake up and necessarily quit. Maybe think about that. Maybe make some sort of exit plan. But with friendships and relationships and clothes and makeup and all of this shit, like, you should be doing what's fun to you and you should be spending your time in ways that excites you and you shouldn't be pouring your energy into shit that you feel like you should be doing. Because what even does that mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, no one should be doing it. Do what the fuck you want, you know? But I think it's important not to, you know, have your life be led in a certain direction without your like approval, you know? Going into autopilot or making decisions based off of pressure or expectations. You know, sometimes we don't mean to do that, but we just default into that kind of autopilot mode rather than, like I said, being in the driver's seat and actually being like, okay, what do I want? I think it's an important reminder to give yourself because not only is it like just an important reminder, it's fucking fun. This is what I mean by like the fact that you can choose these things is like the most exciting thing ever about life. Do you know what I mean? I love that that's something that we just get to choose and play around with and try things and, you know, reroute if we don't like it and reinvent. Like, it's just the most fun thing fucking ever. And like to forget about that is a shame, you know, but there is the other side to it of like, if something isn't working for you or there's something you don't like in your life, a situation you're not happy with, it is up to you to leave things. No one is going to do that for you. You know, it's kind of that double-edged sword of like you're now, especially when you come into like your 20s and you have that kind of independence and autonomy, you know, it's like you do then get the power to choose what you want with your life, choose how you want it to feel. Maybe you've grown up it and it's been a certain way and you know, hit your 20s and you're like, I don't want to live like that, or like I've experienced that and I want to go in an opposite direction. You know, you have the power to do that once you're an adult. You can actually make your own decisions for your own life because for the first time your life is kind of your own responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Which is a double-edged sword because you get that freedom to play around with what you want and create a life that you want, but also no one is gonna like pull you out of situations that aren't good for you anymore. No one's gonna tell you that, you know, you shouldn't be friends with those people because they're not nice to you. No one's going to apply for that new job for you. No one is going to book your ticket to go traveling for you. No one's going to dump your boyfriend for you. Do you know what I mean? You become an adult and you have to make big, scary decisions. And you get to make really fucking fun decisions. But you also have to make scary fucking decisions. Do you know what I mean? Your life is a blank slate. And for that, you have to decide how you want it to go. And you're the only one that can make those decisions for your life, you know, which is why it's so important to be kind of switched on about what you're doing and not be an autopilot, because your life is the chain of decisions that you make. That's how you wind up in the life that you're in, you know. It's because you made a certain chain of choices and decisions, you know, whether it's like actual situations in your life or it's just your mindset. Like, you can also choose to be someone who wakes up and complains all day. You can do that if you want. You can choose to wake up and be really negative and focus on what you don't like and spend your whole day whining and complaining. You can do that. Plenty of fucking people do. Do you know what I mean? The world is full of people that choose to live like that. And that's not necessarily because their life is any worse than the next person's. It's because they're choosing to wake up and have that fucking perspective on life, you know? And to that same logic, you could wake up and decide to be the most grateful person on earth if you fucking want to. You don't even need to wake up tomorrow. You could just do that this afternoon, you know? No, like I said, you're only one decision away from a different life. How you choose to see things, your perspective on life, is also something that is in your own hands. You know, you can change that. And, you know, I think if these are things that you can control, you know, a lot of it is in your hands, then why would you not choose to do something that fucking feels good for you? I don't know. I just find like this is the fun of it. Like you kind of see your life as like a house, right? You're building a life for you to live in. You're building this kind of setup for you to be in. And the same way that if in your house the walls were fucking green when you move in and you're like, I don't fucking want that, you'd repaint it. You know, you change it. You think, I have to spend a lot of time here. I'm gonna make it what I like. You know, the choice is yours. You just buy the paint and fucking paint it. It's the same as your like life and your mindset and your perspective. If there's something that you do not like, or that does not make you feel good, or you don't want in your daily life, you know, you don't want your walls to be green. You also don't want to be someone who fucking complains all the time. Maybe you're just like, I just don't like that. I don't want to be like that. Then, like, I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing in the world to change these things. Sometimes if it's your mindset, it can take a little bit of patience, you know, but also there is no doubt that you can't change it. You know, if there's something that isn't working for you that you don't like, changing it is important. But you are going to spend, you know, you're spending all your time in this life that you're creating for yourself. The same way, like I said, a house, you decorate it how you want. You make it feel homely and safe and enjoyable. And it's the same thing. Like, let's carry on with this analogy. You can't control everything about it. Maybe your house isn't in the fucking place that you want it. It's built on a road you don't love. You can't necessarily pick the house up and move it. There's some stuff you're just going to have to accept. Do you know what I mean? That like some circumstances that you're like, okay, maybe I'm not fucking rich. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that, where you're like, currently I can't do shit about that. There's always a mixed bag of like, some things you just have to accept and some things you can fucking change. And a lot of the time, the stuff that we can control and change, we think we can't, and we just kind of leave it how it is, when actually, like, there's more in your hands, in your control, than you think a lot of the time, you know? You know, like I'm saying, maybe this house, you can't move where it's been built. Sure, maybe you can't change that the sun comes in the wrong side of it and you wish that, you know, it was just a different direction or it was facing the other way. Okay, you can't change that. But what you can change is everything fucking else in it. Do you know what I mean? This is what I mean. There's some things that, you know, aren't ideal in your life that maybe you can't do shit about. You currently can't. That's going to be the case for all of us in some area, you know, but there is so much that you can change that can make it a life that you enjoy. You know, your mindset, your perspective, what you wear, what you listen to, who you spend time with, how you speak to yourself, your hobbies. It gets to the point where it kind of doesn't fucking matter sometimes, the shit you can't control, because, you know, if you spend a lot of time actually making it a life you want and spending your time in ways that make you feel good and time around good people, you're not necessarily maybe going to give a fuck about the things that you do wish you had more money, or you do wish you lived somewhere else, or something like that. It's like that sometimes can become irrelevant when you actually create kind of a lifestyle that you enjoy. You kind of don't give a fuck so much about the stuff that you wish wasn't there. You know, the same way in this house. Like I was saying, maybe it's built in the wrong place or in the wrong direction or something, but you've decorated it really fucking cozy and you've painted all nice colours and you've got all this nice interior, nice lighting. You probably don't give a fuck when you're in that house where it is, because you've made it something that you love. It's the same thing with your life. Do you know what I mean? I sound so fucking like TED Talk right now, but I do think it's a decent analogy that, like, if you do have a lifestyle that makes you happy and a decent perspective and some good people in your life, you know, the rest kind of often doesn't matter. And I'm aware I'm probably quite privileged to say that, but you know, I'm just talking about my own experience, that in my life there's of course things that, you know, are a bit more out of my hands that maybe in an ideal world I would change. But I love my life and I enjoy it immensely, you know, regardless of some of those things that I can't change, because I've just, you know, you just work with what you have, you build what you can, you change how you spend your time and all these things, and then suddenly it's a life that you can actually really appreciate and love, you know? But back to reinventing yourself. There is an exercise that I said that I will often do if I'm feeling super uninspired, in a rut, or just want some sort of fresh start maybe. What I've done quite a few times in the past is I'll get a notebook out. You could also probably do this in a like visual, you know, in your head kind of situation, but I would also write some things down just to remember. But I will start writing in third person about what kind of like woman I want to be, what kind of life I want to have. You know, I'll be writing about her rather than exactly, you know, the version I am right now. I'll be writing about her as if, you know, it's this version of myself that I am creating. You know, you're kind of building it as you're writing it. And then, you know, once you've got like a vision of what you want, it's a lot easier to get it than when it's like vague as fuck. So I will write really specifically about the woman that I want to be, about the girl I want to be, you know, whether it's like, what do her mornings look like? What kind of time does she wake up? How does she respond when things don't go her way? How does she spend her free time? Is she an early bird? Does she lie in? What is her screen time like? No, how does she show up as a friend? Is her evening routine like? What kind of time does she go to bed? What kind of girlfriend, you know, does she want to be? How does she show up for her partner. What kind of partner is she, you know? You know, you're almost kind of like Pinterest boarding the shit out of your life. You know, the same with when you're on Pinterest, you're like just building all these different boards of like, they're just visual kind of versions of what you want. This is what I will do if I feel like I need to reinvent or reroute or just have some sort of fresh start. Maybe I'm feeling bored of my life, or maybe I actively am like, I need to change some shit. It could be either. But you know, you get going with this and you realize the options are fucking endless of what you can change and how you can live and how much of it is in your hands. Because like I've been saying, it's very easy to forget how endless the options are of what you can be shifting in your life to make it better for yourself. You know, you don't just have to feel how you feel right now and live in the way that you're living right now and accept that that's your life. It's not. You can do whatever the fuck you want in a lot of ways. You can change a whole lot more than you think you can. You know, and I will get so granular and specific. Like what kind of stuff is in her fridge? How has she stocked her fridge? What kind of foods are in there? You know, like, is there loads of whole foods and vegetables and shit? Or like what is in there? What kind of things am I eating? Or is she eating? You know, what kind of apps does she keep on her phone? Does she keep social medias on there? And like, what kind of accounts does she follow? How does she set boundaries? How does she do that? And what are they about? What is she strict about? What is she quite disciplined with in her life? And like, in contrast to that, how does she let her hair down? What is her idea of fun? How does she let loose? What does that mean? What is a fun evening? What does she do on a Friday night? When she gets home from work, what the fuck does she do? What's she wearing? What's she cooking? Is she going out? Is she staying in? Is she reading? What kind of books is she reading? Do you know what I mean? Like, designing a version of yourself that you fucking get excited about and becoming that. Because no one's stopping you from doing that. Okay, no one is stopping you from just doing this shit. But like I said, it's hard to do that when there's no sort of plan or vision of where the fuck you're trying to get to. It becomes so much more tangible and easy once you start doing some sort of exercise like this, where you're like, okay, I can kind of actually see it now. I can see what I'm wanting. I have like an actual vision of it. Not just like, I don't want to feel like this and I don't really know what I want to feel like, but I don't want to feel like this. It's like, no, like, when do you want to wake up? What do you want to sleep wearing? Do you want like cute pajamas? Do you want to wake up in your hair? You've done your hair the night before. Do you want to be the type of person that meal preps? Is your fridge full of like meal prepped foods? This is what I mean. Like, what do you want? Because this is the shit you can control. And this is what I mean by Pinterest the fuck out of your life. Because I guarantee a lot of people watching this have Pinterest and use it to create these vision boards of, you know, what kind of clothes you want to wear or what you want to wear to concerts or how you want to decorate your bedroom and shit like that. You can do that with your fucking whole life. You know, maybe you want to spend more time with yourself. Maybe you actually want to start building a relationship with yourself, working on your self-love, you know, instead of just thinking, I wish I had that. Okay. In this exercise, does she go on solo dates? Where does she go? What kind of place does she go? Maybe she goes to a bar and she brings a book and she sits and has a cocktail and reads. Maybe she brings a notebook and writes stuff down. Maybe she brings a laptop. Maybe every Friday she takes herself out somewhere by herself. Maybe every other week she does that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's so much easier once you start doing it in third person and it's almost like you're building this person instead of talking about yourself. Then all the ideas start flowing because it's hard to, when you've already got, this is so hard to word, when you've already got the current version of yourself and all the nuances and complexities that is, it's hard to be like, okay, what, I want to change so many things. How do I do that? It's like you can't really conceptualize doing that when you're thinking about yourself. Sometimes you need to think about building this other version, right? I sound insane. And then you kind of realize the options are endless. Nothing's stopping me from doing this. And the person you're describing could be you. If it's not, that's on you. You're the one in the driver's seat of your life. If you wish you meal prepped, you could fucking meal prep. If you wish you took yourself out on solo dates, you could do that. And this is not me being like, it's your own fucking fault. Like, it is, but it's also like, that's the fun of it, is you could just change that. Like, this is what I mean by it's a double-edged sword thing, that like you become an adult and you can do whatever the fuck you want. A lot of stuff is now in your hands, but also like, if you're not doing it, that's your own fucking fault. You know, if you want to be living in a certain way and you're not doing it, that's your own fault. You're not going to then experience these things that you want because you're not doing them, and no one's going to do them for you. It's your life. But, you know, with that logic, you could also just start doing them. No one can stop you from doing that either. That's completely up to you. Even just things like, how do you want to be treated? You know, what kind of partner would she go for? How would she like her boyfriend to treat her? What kind of person would she like to be with? Where would she meet this person? Do you know what I mean? What kind of dates? How would you be spending time in your relationship? You know, maybe you want to go out for dinners and dates and things, and that's your kind of vibe. Or maybe you're like, I want to go camping with someone. I want to travel with someone. Or I want to live with someone. And, you know, just get so fucking specific about like what you want and just fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? There's obviously some things you can't just overnight do. Like maybe you're single right now and you're like, she is married and she lives in this house in the countryside. Do you know what I mean? Like there's shit you can do next week, and there's shit that you can definitely kind of manifest, but you have to be patient with. You know, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and just be married to the perfect person ever, unfortunately. But you know what I mean? There's kind of levels to this exercise that you can visualize shit that you could change now, and you could visualize your future fucking self. You could talk about what is she doing in 50 years. There's nothing wrong with doing that either. Like that's actually quite fun. Maybe I should do that. I don't think I've ever done it that long term, but that could be fun. You know, or maybe you could read that back when you're actually older and maybe you are married and be like, what the fuck? I'm glad this didn't happen. I have such a, like, how it turned out is nothing like that, but it's way better. Or it, like, worked out. You know, I just think things like this are so important and exciting. And if you're not inspired and excited and enjoying your life, then I guarantee you're playing a role in your own suffering right now, because you could probably, I am saying probably, not definitely, because I don't know what the fuck your situation is and I don't know the circumstance. Like I said, I'm aware there's plenty of shit that can be really shit that you can't change. But there is also plenty of shit that we can, and a lot of it's in your fucking head. Your mind is very powerful, and so are you. So yeah, get a notebook out. Maybe tonight or this weekend or something, buy a new notebook and take it with you to a cafe or a bar, or go sit by the sea, sit on the beach, sit somewhere pretty. You know, bring yourself a glass of wine and fucking write. Get off your phone and write. This makes you feel so excited and so like, oh my god, I forgot I can do whatever the fuck I want, and like, I want to dress like this and do my hair like this and blah, blah. It's just the most fun thing ever, because you are in control of a lot more than you think. And the art of reinventing yourself as often as you fucking want. This is the thing. You could do this exercise and then do it again next month and change some other shit. You know, you can have as many versions of yourself as you fucking want. No one's stopping you. You could change your style every other week. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You could try be vegan for a month and then the next month only eat meat for a month. Like, who fucking cares? Do what you want. Life is not that deep. Do what you want. Have fun with it. Your life is there for you to enjoy, and that is the fucking point of your life. So thank you for listening, and maybe in the description I will write down some of the questions that I said as like suggestions of things to kind of answer in this exercise. So maybe if you're like, I don't know what actually to answer, you could screenshot it and take it with you, you know, and like answer the questions that I have suggested, like a little template for you. But yeah, thank you for listening. I really hope that you do this, because it will make you feel so good. And remember that you're never stuck. You know, you're only ever one decision away from a different life. You are always in the driver's seat. No one can make you do shit. So enjoy that. And yeah, look at the description. I will make a little template for you to do this exercise. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will talk to you next week.